Myanmar's earthquake collapsed a $63 million Bangkok Tower. But that's just the beginning. It wasn't even in the same country. Let that sink in for a second. A massive skyscraper in Bangkok, Thailand, 33 stories high, just months away from completion, came crashing down because of an earthquake in Myanmar. Not Bangkok, not even Thailand, a whole 1,000 kilometers away. How does that even happen? On March 28, 2025, Myanmar was rocked by one of the most powerful earthquakes in its history, a 7.7 magnitude beast that left a trail of devastation across the country. Over 2,000 people died, buildings crumbled, roads split apart, entire neighborhoods were flattened like sandcastles. But the damage didn't stop at the Myanmar border. Across Southeast Asia, people felt the earth shake. In Chiang Mai, in Hat Yai, in Bangkok, a city that's not even known for earthquakes, people were running out of high-rises in full-blown panic. Pools on rooftops sloshed over. Office chairs rolled across rooms. Chandeliers swung like pendulums. And then, that tower fell. A gleaming, glass-clad skyscraper. Brand new, standing tall in the heart of Bangkok's urban jungle, right near the Krung Thep Afiwat Central Terminal, and just a stroll from the buzzing Chatuchak weekend market. That thing wasn't just a building, it was a statement. A $63 million symbol of modern infrastructure. Future home of Thailand's State Audit Office. Gone in seconds. 19 workers died. Over 30 more were injured. And as of this recording, over 70 people are still missing in the wreckage. So what actually happened here? How does a quake from another country take down a brand new skyscraper in a city that's not even on a fault line? Well, that's where things get really interesting. Because this isn't just about an earthquake. It's about the hidden flaws in our systems, the cracks we don't see until it's too late, and a chilling reminder of how vulnerable our cities really are. Let's start with the basics. Myanmar sits on what scientists call a tectonic pressure cooker. 4 massive plates, Eurasian, Indian, Sunda, and the Burma microplate, all meet up there. And when those plates grind against each other, it's not just tectonic drama, it's disaster waiting to happen. The quake struck along the Sagaing fault, which, by the way, is no joke. This thing runs over 1,200 kilometers through Myanmar and has a long, nasty history of tearing the earth apart. But this quake? It wasn't just your average fault rupture. This was a super shear earthquake. And yeah, I know that sounds like a term made up for a Marvel movie, but it's real, and it's terrifying. Here's the deal. In most earthquakes, the ground ruptures and seismic waves spread out at a regular speed, kind of like ripples in a pond. But in a super shear event, the fault ruptures faster than the seismic waves can even travel, like a bullet tearing through the earth faster than sound can catch up. And when that happens, the energy from the quake becomes way more intense in the direction it's heading, basically creating a seismic shockwave. And guess where that wave was aimed? Straight at Thailand. So yeah, Bangkok got smacked by a wave of energy it never saw coming. And here's the kicker. Even though Bangkok isn't on a major fault line, it's built on deep, soft clay soil. That stuff acts like jelly in an earthquake, literally. Instead of absorbing the shaking, it amplifies it. The seismic waves hit the clay and start bouncing around, getting bigger, slower, and more violent. It's like dropping a rock into jello instead of water. Everything just wobbles more, and that's exactly what happened. The shaking in Bangkok was far worse than anyone expected. Buildings swayed, windows cracked, people panicked. But still, only one building collapsed. Why? Why did this one skyscraper, out of the thousands that make up Bangkok's skyline, fall to the ground like a house of cards? Let's talk construction. According to engineers who reviewed the footage and plans, the tower used a flat slab construction system. And if you're not familiar with construction methods, don't worry, most of us aren't, this is basically a technique where floors are poured directly onto columns without using horizontal beams. It's cheaper, it's faster, and it gives architects more freedom to design wide-open interior spaces. But in earthquake-prone regions, it's a terrible idea. Why? Because it has no redundancy. If one part fails, the whole thing can go. There's nothing there to catch the fall, no backup system to hold things up. It's like balancing a table on 4 legs and removing one mid-shake. That's all it takes, and get this, experts like Dr. Christian Malaga Chukitaipe, who specializes in earthquake engineering, have warned about this exact design flaw. He's been saying for years that flat slab systems shouldn't be used in seismic zones. So, why was it used here? That's the $1 million, or maybe $63 million, question. Thailand introduced earthquake building codes in 2009, but let's be honest, codes are only as good as their enforcement. And in this case, the enforcement looks, well, pretty questionable. Steel samples taken from the wreckage have already shown anomalies, according to Thailand's industry minister. Rescue workers say some of the internal beams looked way thinner than they should have been, and rumors are swirling that the construction was rushed to meet political deadlines. So yeah, corners may have been cut, rules may have been bent or outright ignored, and people paid for it with their lives. Now let's zoom out for a second. Because this isn't just about one building falling over, this is a wake-up call. A flashing neon sign saying, hey, this could happen anywhere. Bangkok isn't considered a high-risk earthquake zone, and yet one quake, from 1,000 kilometers away, was enough to cause a deadly collapse. That's terrifying. And it raises some very real, very urgent questions about the safety of our cities. How many buildings in Bangkok, or anywhere in Southeast Asia, are built the same way? How many construction projects prioritized cost over safety? How many developers quietly ignored updated codes because, hey, what are the odds of a major quake, right? Well, we just got our answer. And if you think this was a freak event, think again. Seismologists are warning that even larger earthquakes could hit the region in the coming years. Myanmar is still being rocked by aftershocks. Some are nearly as strong as the original quake. And then there's climate change, rapid urbanization, overdevelopment. All these factors are combining into a perfect storm of vulnerability. Let's not forget, Myanmar's quake caused massive liquefaction in places like Mandalay, where the soil literally turned to liquid. Buildings there slid off their foundations. And in a country already dealing with political instability and poor infrastructure, rebuilding is going to take years, maybe decades. Meanwhile, in Thailand, investigators are scrambling. Questions are flying, lawsuits are coming, but for the families of the victims, no investigation will undo what happened. No official report will bring their loved ones back. And honestly, that's the most heartbreaking part of all this. This wasn't some old, forgotten building with structural issues. This wasn't a freak accident. This was a brand new skyscraper, backed by major construction companies, built with modern tools in a modern city. And it still failed. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the systems we trust, the companies, the codes, the regulators, aren't always as reliable as we think. That sometimes danger doesn't come from the obvious places, and that a distant earthquake under the right or wrong conditions can bring down a tower in another country entirely. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will. But here's the thing. Fear alone isn't useful unless it pushes us to act. So if you're watching this, and you live in a city filled with high-rises, ask the question, how earthquake-safe are these buildings, really? What codes are they following? Who's enforcing them? Is safety just a buzzword, or is it actually built into the foundation? We shouldn't have to wait for another tragedy to take this seriously. And if this story shook you, no pun intended, Do me a favor. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. Was this a preventable disaster? Or just a freak event no one could have prepared for? And hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you want more deep dives into stories like this, make sure to subscribe. We've got more coming. Because what happened in Bangkok wasn't just a one-off. It was a preview. And the next time, the ground might shake even closer to home.